which side is the new bridge going to be built? It's 100 feet from that one. It's going to be this way or the other?
Away from us?
Yep.
They can't fix it. They should keep it, make it a walking or a biking trail. That's what I said. Don't get a spot. Yeah, back up.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. We're jumping in right away to Fox 5 Live here on this Thursday, August 10th, and I'm here with Cam, intern Cam, on his last 2 days in studio, so make sure you say your hello and goodbyes to him on the last 2 days. We're so excited to have him in here. And again, I'm Molly Nevola here hosting your midday show for breaking news and live events. And we got right now, it's a really cool event actually happening in DC. It's a gorgeous day today in the nation's capital. And this next event is going to be live, and it's going to be our mayor, Muriel Bowser, joined by Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton of DC, the congresswoman that represents the district, to introduce the design and timeline of a brand new bridge, the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge. It's supposed to be one of the largest construction infrastructure sort of items, I guess, in the district. It's a really horrible word for it. But this is down on 1st Street Southeast, and we're going to hear from both of them today. It's on the Anacostia River. You can see the water right there. It's going to be another gateway to DC. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, very exciting. I mean, anytime you get a big infrastructure item like that, getting just tossed into the district, I mean, those are always fun.
That was the worst word, I'm sorry. Totally. Guys, this is a part of the South Capitol Street Corridor Project. Like I said, the largest construction project in the history of DDOT, DC Department of Transportation. So we got our IT guy coming in here. He's going to wave and say, hey. You see him a bunch. He's making a little guest appearance. So be sure to reach out to us, guys, and chat on our live stream. We're going to be taking this live for you. Obviously, like I said, a gorgeous shot right here in the water in Southeast. This is going to amp up, stir economic growth and development in this area of D.C., the neighborhoods east of the Anacostia River. And we're going to have it for you guys live as we hear them announce this bridge and sort of the timeline for when it will happen and the design of it as well. We're going to be working on some other stuff here in the newsroom and then checking back in with you. So for now, take a look at this shot that we're setting up before they come out and speak, and then we'll be right back with you guys shortly. All right, guys, thanks for watching.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Good.
Take your spot. Yeah, I'll be right back. Yeah.
Want to get started with our good news. We are excited today to unveil the design for the new Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge. I would like to thank everybody who has been such a part of making this day possible. Let me acknowledge our wonderful Congresswoman who is here and who will speak to you momentarily, Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. All her colleagues who have been helpful, and I know she has some helpful colleagues who are making sure that the infrastructure needs that we have in Washington, D.C. are being met. And I also want to acknowledge all of our team who's present. And I don't have to tell most of you assembled here that getting big infrastructure projects like this underway is a huge undertaking. As it's been the case in the district, it's been a multi-year undertaking, but we have unwound it and got it going. And I want to thank Leif Dormsjo and our entire team at the District Department of Transportation. Give them a big round of applause as well. So I also don't have to tell you that investing in our infrastructure is key to how we can continue to be a growing city and the best city in the world. And improving our bridges is very critical to achieving this mission. We should all be proud that our city is well above the national average for structural deficient bridges. That sounds like a strange statement. So our bridges are better than their bridges, but not much. The national average is 7.3%. In DC, we're at 2.4%, but we want that number to be zero. When I first became mayor, I tasked the department and Director Dormsjo with creating a system that makes that zero number a reality. He and the DDOT team are doing that and more with this incredible project. The new Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge is part of the larger South Capitol Street Bridge project. This is a $441 million initiative. It is the largest construction project in the history of the District of Columbia. It will create more than 200 new full-time and part-time jobs in the city. I just want to now let you see it because we're also very proud of how it looks. I told the director that I wanted this to be a signature project for the District of Columbia, and now we would like you to take a look. Don't you like it? All right, I love it. It is designed and soon to be constructed by the South Capitol Street Bridge builders. This is a joint venture between Archer Western Construction LLC and the Granite Construction Company with AECOM as the lead designer. And I am just very pleased that we have a design, we have a team, and we're ready to get going. In just a few minutes, we're going to show you a video that outlines all the details of the project. I'm going to let the director now tell you a little bit more about how we got here and about the bridge.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. Mayor Bowser said it best. This is a huge milestone for the district. This new bridge is state-of-the-art. It is a one-of-a-kind bridge, and it will stand up against international design competitions across the globe. We're thrilled about the design and all the other amenities that we want to show you with the video. So stay tuned for the video where we're going to talk through the surrounding area and the other elements of this project in addition to the bridge. The project includes parks on either side of this bridge. We're building 2 ovals on either side. The oval on the east side, okay, so the east side is to my right here, will function as a meadow, seamlessly tying together the transition from this developed infrastructure into the surrounding nature and the Parkland-Suitway corridor. The oval on the west side of the bridge will function more like DuPont Circle and have passive recreation and a formal park space. And we'll show you all of this visually with the video in a matter of minutes. We're also replacing the Interstate 295 bridges. We're improving the area's drainage systems, and we're increasing dramatically the bicycle and pedestrian access, not just across the bridge and across the river, but along the riverfront. And so I think people are going to be really excited when they see those bicycle and pedestrian features. This was an incredible team effort. The mayor acknowledged DDOT, and I see a large number of DDOT team members here today. This took one DDOT, all sorts of disciplines coming together to make this a reality. But we also had terrific partners. Eleanor Holmes Norton and Steny Hoyer were fighting for federal funds to make sure that this project had the investment capital that it needed to become a reality. The Office of Contracting and Procurement, I see Bill Sharp, our Chief Procurement Officer. Bill and I spent too much time together over the past 2.5 years, but we're still friends, which is important. Bill, thank you very much. You're a warrior, you're a hero. You made it happen for us. We have representatives from Council Member Allen and White's offices here. Chris Lawson has been a steadfast partner at Federal Highway Administration, meeting with us literally every week to talk about this project and a lot of other projects in our delivery pipeline. I want to thank Chris specifically for his leadership. The National Capital Planning Commission, the Fine Arts, the Commission on Fine Arts, U.S. Coast Guard, National Park Service. We've got private partners here from the Washington Nationals, the Riverfront Bid, Uday, thank you, from Georgetown University, was kind of our architectural curator throughout the whole process and is probably more so than anybody, responsible for making sure that the bidders understood the high visual quality expectations that we are going to have for this project and we're able to achieve for this project. Thank you, Uwe, in particular. The list of partners goes on and on. It's only because of this team effort that we are here today, about to start the largest public infrastructure construction project in the district's history. I mean, that's a powerful, powerful statement. I want to acknowledge the South Capitol Bridge Builders, Archer Western, which is with the Walsh Group out of Chicago, Granite Construction, AECOM. We have got the best in the business working with us. And we also have helping us as our owner's rep, HNTV, and I know some of their representatives are here today. So it takes the public and the private sector to make these things happen. My biggest thanks goes out to that DDOT team who worked with us on everything from acquiring property to organizing the request for proposals, studying the bridge elements, so we made sure we had a defensible record of decision with the federal government. Just hours and hours of work by the DDOT team to make sure that we got it right. Delmar Lytle in particular was our project manager. You can't miss him. He's the tallest person here, and he's in the back, and he's here with his young daughter. Thank you for coming back to share this moment with us. So we're really excited about the bridge. We'll get to the video in a moment, but I'd like to invite Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton up to talk to us. Thank you, Congresswoman. Thank you very much.
Mayor Bowser, you deserve to sit down. It's not fun. But I do want to express my appreciation to you for bringing this bridge. This is really Frederick Douglass Bridge number 3. And I'll tell you the saga of the Frederick Douglass Bridge in a moment. I know that Councilmember Charles Allen and Councilmember Trayon White were due to be here. I'm sure they would have been here if they were here. But the reason that their importance here is because this bridge, among other things, and it is a gateway bridge to the nation's capital, but it joins their 2 wards. Very important for the economic development and for the transportation from those wards in our city. So you've heard that the South Capitol Street corridor project now underway, or that is unveiled today. That's pretty zany, isn't it? Is the largest construction project in DC history. Well, if it's the largest project in DC history, this Frederick Douglass Bridge also has taken the longest to build in DC history. So there's really a saga of the South Capitol Street Bridge which will make us appreciate what the mayor and the city are unveiling today. The bridge before you, the bridge behind me, is the temporary South Capitol Street Bridge. The reason it was built is because the first South Capitol Street Bridge, which by now is almost 70 years old, was so dangerous that you simply didn't want human beings or autos to cross it. So the South Capitol Street Bridge has become my major project on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee on which I serve. I can almost measure how long I've been in Congress by the work it's taken to bring this bridge to where the mayor has now brought us. The current bridge is not the way we're doing this bridge. The current bridge was built appropriation by appropriation until we got enough funds to build it. And that's why I'm sorry that my good friend Steny Hoyer isn't here, because he and I have more in common than friendship. We have in common constituents who needed to use this bridge. Then Congress still allowed earmarks, and that's the only reason that bridge is up, that I was able to get earmarks screaming that one of these days we were all going to be embarrassed because the South Capitol Bridge was going to come tumbling down. I got earmarks for the South Capitol Street Bridge and the 11th Street Bridge, and so I thought we're ready to go on both. And I gave priority, of course, to the South Capitol Street Bridge because it was in dangerous condition. So when they reduced the amount of the of the earmarks, I had to figure out what to do, and that was to feed Peter and starve Paul. I shifted funds from the 11th Street Bridge, which is now up, by the way, to the South Capitol Street Bridge because the South Capitol Street Bridge was a priority. That gave enough money for the replacement bridge that is behind me. Then, to fill in funding for the 11th Street Bridge earmark, which I had robbed, I got funds from something called the National Corridor Fund. And DC then made up the difference using parking revenue. I do love that. Parking revenue, not your taxpayer funds. Meanwhile, we have been able to get funds for the 11th Street Bridge, and we're very proud of how the city has finished the 11th Street Bridge, while the South Capitol Street Bridge was the priority and is just going up now. We're hoping that this unveiling signals that the South Capitol Street Bridge can be built just as expeditiously as the 11th Street Bridge was. That too was a very complicated gateway bridge. That too is a federal highway. That is why we qualify for a great deal of federal funds. Like the 11th Street, the Frederick Douglass Street Bridge, of course, is in a category of its own. And it comes at a very interesting time. I expect my bill, which is almost to the floor, celebrating the bicentennial of Frederick Douglass, to come to the floor shortly because we're at the 200th year of the birth of Frederick Douglass. And we're now, under my bill, finding appropriate ways to honor Frederick Douglass. Well, Mayor Bowser, I think you have found the most appropriate way to honor Frederick Douglass. Build this bridge. Thank you for doing it.
Let's give Eleanor another round of applause for getting us our bridge going and staying on it and working with her colleagues to make sure we could see this day. I too want to acknowledge and thank our friends in the federal government at USDOT who have been with us every step of the way. So thank you, Chris, and please join us.
Mayor Bowser, Congresswoman Norton, I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the invitation and thank you very much. For those of you in the audience, my name is Chris Lawson. I am the Division Administrator for the Federal Highway Administration's District of Columbia Division Office. And I've been in this job for about 7.5 years, and I will say that I have had the extreme pleasure of working on 2 transformational and regionally significant projects in the district with the District Department of Transportation. And they are the 11th Street Bridge and the South Capitol Street Bridge. And I just want to tell you a quick story. About 2.5 years ago, the new director came into his position, and he immediately wanted to meet weekly with the Federal Highway Administration on this project because, from his perspective, this project had been in development for far too long. We proceeded to meet weekly, we set milestones, and because of his leadership, I would say that we're here today over the past 2.5 years because he really accelerated this project. Tough leadership, but leadership from Dave Durham's Joe. I just want to say it has been a pleasure working with the district on bringing this project to where it is today. I want to give a sincere thank you to the leadership and staff at the District Department of Transportation, at the various other agencies that the director alluded to, as well as the consultants who are here today. And I just want to say congratulations to the team, the South Capitol Street Bridge Builders, for the awarding of the project. So thank you all. I look forward to talking to many of you this afternoon. Thank you. All right.
I would also like to acknowledge our statehood delegation, Representative Franklin Garcia. Give Franklin a big round of applause. as well as Senator Paul Strauss. Thank you, Senator, and Senator Michael Brown. Thank you for being here. And our Director of the Department of Energy and the Environment is here, Tommy Wells. Thank you, Tommy Wells, for your leadership on all that we have here, and Eugene Kinlow, who is our Director of Federal and Regional Affairs. Thank you, Eugene. So we're now happy to answer just a few questions, and then we're going to go in, and I really encourage everybody to take a look at the video. You can see this drawing really comes to life in the video. Any questions? Talk about what the first phase is going to be, when the bridge is going to come down, or talk about what people in the neighborhood can expect to start. Sure. Leif, can you just talk about timeline with us and all of the different phases we're going to go through?
So first of all, there is design work that needs to continue. That's already been advanced, and the first construction activity will be in the late winter and spring of next year. So the public won't see any major construction until some of the design submittals are brought to us and advanced. The existing structure will be operational until the new bridge is commissioned. So we're gonna build the bridge adjacent to the existing structure, and then when it opens in March of 2021, then there's about an 8-month demolition phase that will occur on the back end. So the existing structure is going to be with us for a little while longer while we build a wider 6-lane span just adjacent to it. So design this year, construction beginning next year. About a 3.5-year construction period.
Director, what's the thought process behind the oval? We love traffic circles here, and everybody knows how to drive through traffic circles. Why put an oval in on both sides?
Well, one important element of the question was why are there ovals on the east and west side of the bridge? What you have to recognize is that this view shed and this corridor, this gateway, as the Congresswoman mentioned, has very important historic and cultural significance for the District of Columbia and the nation, frankly. And so we really needed to work very closely with the regulatory agencies at the federal and regional level to make sure that the design elements were consistent with the L'Enfant plan and a lot of the principles that we have about views, open space, and landscaped areas within the District of Columbia. So that's a big part of it. And then we also had to make sure that the traffic engineering worked. And one of the really interesting elements about this particular design is that the team struck what I would argue is almost a perfect balance between getting the aesthetics right and making sure that the roadway and pedestrian crossings and bicycle connections all work operationally.
So it's not just about drivers.
Exactly. It's all users of our transportation system, and you'll see that kind of visualization in the video, and pay close attention to the pedestrians, the cyclists, and then some of the recreational activity that is going to go on around and actually underneath the bridge.
So we can't tell people from Maryland or Virginia that the city is going to get better.
Well, we're not. Obviously, the alignment is the same, but the current bridge structure has 5 lanes, and the new bridge will have 6. So we are actually adding capacity, and then the pedestrian and bicycle capacity is, exponentially better and more robust than we have today.
And I'm sure Adam was interested in his viewers in the District of Columbia too, and their commutes, of course. And so we're interested in making sure that their experience connecting, as the Congresswoman said, Wards 8 and Ward 6 in both sides of our river. and the changes that will happen that go along with that will improve the quality of life for DC residents, and that's important. I neglected to mention earlier that LAIF and USDOT, the DDOT and the USDOT were also able to stay focused on local hiring, and I think we have something unique to say about that as well.
Yes, so as the mayor mentioned, because of the work that we were able to do with Federal Highway, this project, because we went through an application process, this project will have the first source hiring provisions, which are the local is the local ordinance that basically mandates that for new hires, 51% of the newly hired personnel across a whole range of different positions will be DC residents. So that's the first time that on a federal project that there's been the incorporation of a local hiring and employment development law such as the first source. So that's a really significant component of this, different than what happened on the 11th Street Bridge. And then the other really important aspect in terms of small business and disadvantaged business, this project will have a 22% disadvantaged business goal for the construction phase. The 11th Street Bridge was 6%. So that's a profound increase, and it reflects the availability of a lot of minority and female-owned businesses in this region who can now participate more substantively on the subcontracting opportunity. So local jobs and local businesses are working on this project along with the best contractors in the country based in Chicago and California. So this is really where the local and national come together in a very powerful way.
Okay, so I now would like to invite everybody to join me and our team. Sure. Well, what I said yesterday was that we are committed in our city to police and community relationships that are built on trust. Accountability and real accountability supports that trusting relationship. And I believe if there's no accountability in this incident, that we break trust with our community. So we don't have any power over prosecutorial decisions. Those are criminal in nature. But we do have the responsibility to look at our policies and procedures and make sure that they are being followed. Now, MPD starts their phase of kind of the personnel aspects of the investigation. But as we do that, we think it would be better for our force and our community if the officer resigns. I'm sorry? Well, I don't want you to refer to feelings or frustration. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is my responsibility to make sure we're doing all that we can to support police and community relationships that allow the community to trust the police. And so our department will look at all aspects of our policies and procedures that may not have been followed. One we know for sure is that body cameras were not engaged. That doesn't change anything about the incident itself or the death of Terrence Sterling, but what it deprived us all of is just one potential view. It may not have been conclusive, but we were denied of one potential view of what happened. What I promised the residents in going and investing $5 million for every patrol officer to have a body camera is that we would have the benefit of that footage. Thank you.
So guys, we're going to keep this on. You are watching this live coverage here. That was Mayor Muriel Bowser. I'm not sure if they're going to go into this video that they were saying that they were going to show But this is really interesting to me. I think it's really cool and actually a really gorgeous bridge.
Yeah, I mean, the bridge definitely looks nice.
The question is, we were questioning the whole time sort of the timeline, which she was asked about, but it sounds like, looks like they're taking pictures now. It sounds like completion in 2021.
2021.
They'll demolish the old bridge that you guys see behind it. It's going to be actually be 100 feet from this old bridge. So same exact vicinity, same area. And I want to say the video that they're about to show, I think, will illuminate more to the viewers, but I'm not sure if we're actually going to get it on camera.
The bridge, I mean, the video might be just for the people who are there. I'm not totally sure, but the old bridge will stay functional throughout the entirety of the building process of the new bridge. So it's not like there won't be access there.
Right.
Just at the end in 2021, or whenever they complete the project, there'll be a much newer, nicer looking, safer bridge, and presumably and as they mentioned, there's gonna be a whole other lane of traffic, so that should ease traffic. That's always a huge kind of concern in the district. So
yeah, I thought it was interesting. Yeah, and again, we were sort of chatting about the timeline, but it's actually sooner than I thought.
Yeah,
4 years down the road. Just some stats for you guys. It's going to replace a 68-year-old bridge, so it is sort of just a new revamp of this, and it's the largest construction project in the history of DC, of DDOT.
Which is really, really pretty awesome, and I didn't realize that. I mean, you think about all the construction projects that have happened. The Washington Monument is a huge one. Like the Capitol, White House, and all of a sudden this bridge is going to come in and split all those. So that's kind of cool.
There might be a little clarification there because it's the DC Department of Transportation. So
transportation one.
DDOT
okay, gotcha.
DDOT Federal, which is
okay,
I know, same name.
Confused on that.
But you're right. Other big, huge projects in the city. Because we still have a still shot, I'm going to show you back there quickly because I noticed this. I know this area pretty well. Nats Park, as we know, is right to the right of this. So if you look sort of behind that condo building and over, it's Nationals Park.
It's pretty much directly behind the condo, a little bit to the right. That's Nats Park. That's that whole area.
Exactly. And straight behind this sign where you see the guy kind of taking the picture with the canoe and the posts in the water is Bardo Brewery, which is like a beer outpost, big section of land that was bought recently, and it's a cool beer spot for before and after games, and there's a bunch of restaurants going in. You can kind of see a white sign to the right of that guy. It says All Purpose. It's another location of All Purpose, which is the restaurant in Shaw in DC that's going in there. So just that area is amping up so much, and you can go kayaking on the water down there, and the Anacostia, they're trying to revamp it. There's a whole thing. There's a whole snazzy group of restaurants.
That's pretty much always what happens after you put in a stadium like that. I mean, the Nats Park is, I want to say, 9 years old now. Somewhere in there.
6, was it?
I think it was 7. I think it was 7. So I think it's 10 years old, somewhere in there anyway. And all that kind of post-stadium construction is now completed, on the verge of being completed. And so all those kind of buildings and shops and restaurants, beer gardens, things like that, they're all now kind of coming into play. So that whole area is really just, definitely on the up for sure.
Hugely, yeah. I'm glad we kind of got that still shot so you guys can see it. So we'll take it back in, and I just want to say, hey, Sean, thanks for watching. Thanks, guys, for connecting to us on our live chat. We are here in the newsroom, the digital newsroom at Fox 5 DC in Washington, D.C. Here's a live shot at the Capitol Dome. Gorgeous, gorgeous day. I will admit, I did not want to walk in these doors today, only because it's so beautiful out, and I was walking in our back parking lot, and I was like, wow, it's actually very low humidity and just a beautiful stunner of a day. In fact, people were talking about how the Nats game yesterday was perfect. You went to the Nats game.
I went to the Nats game. Oh, it was so awesome.
The weather was just stunning, right?
10-1 win. It was cool out. It was, wasn't raining or anything. wasn't that hot. It was just a phenomenal day for baseball, and the Nats jumped all over it.
Absolutely.
Ryan Zimmerman, actually, quick shout out. Broke the team record for RBI. So
cool.
In just a season of breaking records for him, he's broke numerous records as far as Nationals goes, franchise goes, the history of DC baseball, which goes all the way back to the Senators. He's broken all 3 of those home run records, and now he got the RBI record yesterday.
Awesomeness.
So he just keeps breaking the records.
So cool. So some sports news for you guys today. If you're on our live stream, guys, Chat us up. Let us know where you're watching from, what you think, and anything that you have to comment. We want to kind of engage with you and have a fun little conversation on our live stream today. If you're new to our show, we're Fox 5 Live, midday lunchtime show, bringing you breaking news and whatever video we got. And I'm going to go right next to something that's sort of linked to what we just saw. So we just heard from the mayor. If you guys were on with us yesterday, or perhaps you're from the DMV area, you may know of this case. Yesterday, the big breaking late news, it came around 5 o'clock p.m. yesterday, was that a grand jury decided that there would be no indictment in the case of the Terrence Sterling incident, where a D.C. police officer shot and ended up killing Terrence Sterling last September 11th, 2016. So we waited outside the courthouse. Paul Wagner, our reporter, was there to get that information. And Mayor Bowser just got a couple questions on that. And sounds like, and again, we'll recap the story a little bit and show you an interview with the family's lawyer that our anchor, Steve Shenevy, did this morning on the morning show. But she was essentially saying there, right there blatantly, she thinks it would be recommended that he resign.
Yeah, and she was careful to kind of take the political side and, avoid keeping emotion out of it, saying, frustration was not the right word. She was asked a question about that, but definitely making it clear that she wants, the fairness, the whole picture. What body cams were supposed to provide was that extra insight onto exactly what happened in a situation. And I think that there is what she has the biggest issue with, was the fact that the body camera was not turned on, because that, the whole reason for the protocol was so that we would just have that added judgment on what kind of threat there was, what kind of risk and danger and assessment, and just let us feel more justified maybe in what happened, the turnout. And so that issue was something that she spoke to as being something that she didn't like to see and wanted to make sure that happened in the future.
Definitely, especially to preserve the reputation of her DC police force as well, but also to get a little justice for this family. And so we're going to hear from this interview from early this morning. It happened in the late 7 o'clock a.m. hour on our morning show. And like I said, Terrence Sterling's family's lawyer, Jason Downs, spoke, and we're going to play that video out in a second. But I definitely agree with that sentiment there, and we can speculate all we want what's going to really happen, but I would presume that this particular police officer, Brian Traynor, possibly does resign.
I would think so. I would be surprised if he doesn't.
But yeah, big case, made huge news all across. So let's listen now, because we had him on our morning show. Kind of a cool thing to sit down with him, and he reveals that there's more to be looked into. There's more stuff they want to look into and evidence they want to turn over to find, and like I said, just leave nothing unturned and investigate this further as they continue with this. But for now, no indictment for that police officer. So let's hear from the lawyer that was on our show this morning.
7:31 right now. Our other big story today, D.C. police officer Brian Traynor will not face charges in the shooting death last year of Terrence Sterling. The U.S. Attorney's Office said in a statement that there was evidence that Sterling was aggressive toward police at the time of the shooting. The U.S. Attorney's Office says, quote, Mr. Sterling revved his motorcycle and then accelerated and turned it toward the cruiser. The officer never got a chance to fully exit the vehicle. The impact caused by the advancing motorcycle caused a dent in the cruiser's open door and a bruise to the officer's knee. The officer reacted by immediately firing 2 rounds at Mr. Sterling through his front passenger window. The rounds struck Mr. Sterling in the right side and neck. Now, with that, prosecutors announced there was insufficient evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Officer Traynor willfully used reasonable force and or was not acting in self-defense. And joining us now, the attorney representing Terrence Sterling's family, Jason Downs. Thanks for coming in today, Jason.
Thank you for having me.
Let me start with this, and let's go back to the report that came out from the U.S. Attorney's Office. We read the statement that was part of the report. Other allegations in the report that Mr. Sterling was driving on city streets more than 100 miles an hour, was taunting officers, looking at them speeding through red lights, leading them through the streets of D.C., that he had a 0.16 alcohol content, blood alcohol content. What do you see as justified or not justified in this case with the evidence that they are presenting?
Let's assume, which I'm not going to agree with, but let's assume that everything that you just said is true. reckless driving is not an executable offense. In other words, it's not the death penalty. You should not be shot in the back simply because you were alleged to have been recklessly driving. Another question that arises is, why were the police chasing him in the first place? Why were they there? Their general orders specifically preclude them from doing this. Why? Because when you engage in a high-speed chase, it's dangerous. It should not happen. The police should have never been blocking him in at the intersection of 3rd and M Streets. If they would not have violated their general orders, we would not be here right now.
The final seconds, though, when, as the report claims, that Mr. Sterling drove toward that door, struck the door where the officer was, what do you see as for what evidence you have come up with that either corroborates that story or goes against that story?
All the evidence points to the fact that Terrence was trying to avoid the police. He was actually making a left onto M Street, not trying to hit the police vehicle. In other words, and all the evidence suggests that any impact was not forceful at all. It would make no sense whatsoever for a motorcycle to drive toward a car and intentionally ram a car. Why? Because the driver of the motorcycle would flip over if he tried to hit a car. So it makes absolutely no sense. So we challenge the notion that Terrence was driving toward a police vehicle in an effort to ram a police vehicle.
There also was the question before, evidence had apparently shown, and evidence that we had here at Fox 5 that he had been shot in the back. This report makes no mention of that, says shot in the side and the neck.
The autopsy will speak for itself. Science speaks for itself. Terrence was shot in the back, and he was shot in the side of his neck. You don't have to take my word for it. The autopsy speaks for itself.
All right. So what happens now in this case, now that this department, or that the attorney's office has said, we are not going to file criminal charges?
The next step is that we are going to search for the critical piece of evidence that is missing from the federal government's investigation. There was a camera at 3rd and M Streets. That is undisputed. That camera should depict the entire incident. What happened? Where is that camera? How is the most powerful investigative unit in the world, the United States government, how did they come up empty? This surveillance footage is in their purview. It's in their custody. It belongs to the government. Where is it? We want to know the answer to that question. It adds insult to injury to not give us the answer to where is the surveillance footage.
So from the criminal side of things, if that is located, is there a way to reopen a criminal case?
Of course, because in this particular case, what's even more maddening is that the government did not allow the grand jury to even vote. They had a 10-month investigation with the grand jury, did not allow the grand jury to vote this case up or down. If that critical piece of evidence surfaces, then yes, of course, we are hopeful that the government does the right thing and reopens this investigation. But at this point, we have no confidence that our federal government is going to do the right thing and reopen this investigation or even look for this critical piece of evidence.
All right, a lot of ifs there because they don't have that evidence. Nobody has it at this point. One of the things you can do is proceed in the civil manner. What is the status of the civil case at this point?
The civil case right now was stayed. In other words, it was on hold until the outcome of the criminal case. The civil case will likely pick up in the next month or so, depending on the outcome of the administrative investigation.
Right, which could take up to 90 days. So
it could. It could. I think one of the questions on the administrative side, on the civil side, and on the criminal side is where is the critical piece of evidence? Because I don't want to say no one has it. Someone has it. It's in the purview of Homeland Security, which means our government has the surveillance footage. Where is it?
Two things real quick. The mayor spoke out yesterday. MPD has also spoken out about this officer. The fact that the body camera was not used. The mayor has called for changes. The mayor has actually called for the dismissal of this officer. Does any of that sit in and bring a little bit of relief, at least to the family or to yourself in this case?
Well, the family is certainly hopeful that Brian Traynor is not allowed to walk the streets of D.C. with a gun anymore. That is certainly part of their hope, but that's not full justice. The family was looking for full and fair justice. Fair justice would be taking into account all of the evidence, the witness statements that say that Brian Traynor shot from the safety of his vehicle, the fact that shell casings were found in the vehicle, which suggests that he fired from the vehicle. The family was hoping that all of that would have been taken into account and justice would have been served on the criminal side.
What was the family's reaction when this first came down yesterday, the news?
They were sad. They were sad. They've been patient for the last 10 months with this investigation. Their patience wore thin when they were sitting listening to the federal government tell them the results of an investigation that left out the most critical piece of information, that being the surveillance footage, left out the fact that we have witnesses that say that this officer fired from his vehicle, and the autopsy shows that Terrence was shot in the back. That was incredibly saddening and frustrating to the family.
All right, certainly a story we're not done talking about either. Jason Downs, the attorney for Terrence Sterling's family. Thanks for joining us this morning, Jason.
All right, guys, so clearly a clip from our earlier morning show, but relevant, and also since we just saw Mayor Bowser speak, I mean, what do you guys think about that? If you guys have thoughts on this, maybe you've been following this case. It is 10 months old, which is quite interesting. The family's been waiting around for this decision for a long time. Obviously, they were very sad about yesterday's news. It's a tough one. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, and just the fact that it's 10 months old, you know, doesn't say that much. I mean, you obviously want to do a thorough investigation into anything of this importance, you know, and just the lives it affects. So
very true.
The 10 months to me isn't an issue. I mean, I'm not an expert on this case. I don't know exactly, you know, what the kind of legal standing is behind that camera that
was
the
there.
lawyer was talking about that was there. Why that's not included? If that even, you know, has footage, I'm not sure about any of that. But you obviously would like to see all the evidence, you know, presented and brought into an investigation like this, especially, you know, when it is something so important like, you know, the treatment of citizens by our police force, and life or death, and you know, the use of reasonable force. I mean, we put a lot of trust into our police force every day. You know, they're legally allowed to carry weapons, and as they should be, because they are charged with protecting us. But you know, with that comes a lot of responsibility, and if it's, you know, perceived to be misused or taken advantage of, I think that there's some kind of investigation that, you know, should come out in a, you know, complete manner, I think.
Definitely. I actually hadn't even heard the tidbit about his blood alcohol level and how, but then that is sort of just irrelevant to me anyway, because that stuff, happens all the time, and there are steps to be taken, and police have to do things, obviously, if you're illegally driving or recklessly driving, but the fact that it involves gunfire, and then it involves
I mean like the DUI for sure. I mean, because but you know, if Sterling had been arrested for a DUI, that, like,
so different.
Fine, like his parent, you know, like, this wouldn't be a story.
Right.
His family wouldn't be waiting for months on end for this. You know what I mean?
To
like
get justice.
Like a DUI is DUI, and you absolutely, like, there's no excuse for driving drunk, for sure. But there's no excuse for dying for driving drunk either.
Totally.
So, you know, well, dying from shots fired by a police officer. If your own stupidity does it, then that's a different story.
Totally, guys. All right, guys, let us know what you think. If you're watching, if you're just jumping on our feed, welcome. And join our stream. You can chat with us in that box to your right, and we're happy to shout you out and chat along with you. I'm Molly Nevola and intern Cam in the newsroom here, talking about the news of the day, what's going on this morning, what broke late last night into this morning, and obviously trying to bring you guys the live stuff as much as we can first. Another story from this morning, actually, guys, we're going to go back to this. This was again, just earlier this morning, totally kind of a different realm, but still local to our city. Fire officials today gave an update on the condition of one of their own, Dane Smothers Jr. He was injured on the scene of a fire in Northeast DC last Wednesday. So today they gave a little update on that. We took it live, but just moments ago. And now a big outpouring of support has begun for him, injured on the job. There's a fundraiser to help him out at Tune In Restaurant and Bar in Southeast DC. I know where that is, right there on Pennsylvania Avenue, Capitol Hill, that area. It's a popular little spot. 28 years old, guys. He was injured in a blaze after his engine responded to a 2-alarm blaze at 8th and F Street Northeast last Wednesday. So there's a little update on his condition. I want to play that out. This was from officials earlier this morning. So let's go over there.
DC Firefighters Burn Foundation. This morning I'm going to give you just a little update on Dane's condition. The family does not want to still put a lot of information out. What I can say is right now, Dane is still in critical condition at MedStar Washington Hospital Center. He has had 3 surgeries so far. He's scheduled for a 4th surgery later today. Still got a long road to go with recovery. On behalf of the fiance and Dane's father, sister, and family, they just want the community to know that they are completely overwhelmed with the amount of support that they've got, not just from Local 36, the Byrne Foundation, the fire department, but as a community as a whole, MPD, several other law enforcement agencies, other fire departments from the area have all been coming in, showing their support. So the other thing that the family would like people to know is that they are very impressed and blown away with the level of care that Dane's receiving at MedStar Washington Hospital Center. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sergeant Keisha Jackson. I was one of Dane's instructors at the training academy. One thing I want you to understand is that coming through the academy, you don't just look at these individuals as firefighters. I know for me it's personal. I looked at Dane coming through as one of my own. It became personal to me. The only way I can best describe him is my quiet before the storm. Very quiet, reserved, very intelligent. And you ask him a question, he just smile, give you those big white teeth. But when you put him out in the yard, Dane always performed. Very proficient with everything that he did. If he didn't get it right the first time, he definitely got it right the second time. He always wanted to be a firefighter. This is something that was dear to his heart. I had a conversation with his father at the hospital the other day, and he was telling me a little bit about Dane and how for the past 6 or 7 years, he was just asking, you know, when is the test? When is the test going to be open? Asking his family members, when is the test? When is the test? So he took the test, got to the convention center, and still just overwhelmed, but he made it through. So this is something that he wanted to do. But understand that we don't just look at them as firefighters. They're part of a family, and he's part of me. So that's just how I feel. But anyway, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sergeant David Youngling. I also was one of Dane's instructors when he was going through recruit class. And exactly what Keisha was talking about is his quiet demeanor was one of his strengths. The thing that Dane didn't like to do was stand out. He didn't want to draw attention to himself. He doesn't do that. He likes to come to work and do his job and do it well. And the one story that I love, that I always remember with Dane, is that when we asked him, and they put recruits in a leadership type of position while they're going through school, so we asked him to lead everyone in physical training for the morning. So if you can think military-wise in cadence with a loud, boisterous voice, he gets up there and he was like, okay, ready, 1, 2. So with Dane, it was his personality. That is his personality. He does not want to draw attention, and I just respect him and his family for the type of man that he is.
Good morning, I'm Lieutenant Bass. I was Dane's lead instructor while he was at the training academy. As both the other sergeants said, Sergeant Jackson and Sergeant Youngling. 3 things I can say about Dane. 1 would be consistent. He was consistent, he was conscientious, and he overall just cared about wanting to do a great job. I have a couple stories, but of course they spent a little bit more time out with him doing practical skill stations and things like that. I was more so a facilitator, so I kind of handled assignments and things like this, and Dane came to me one day. He said, Lieutenant Bass, he kind of pulled me to a side because that's his personality, and said, I want to go to Engine 3. I said, wow, is that something you really want to do? It's one of the busiest companies in the city. But with that being said, Dane's personality, his overall performance, which means consistent, those are the type of employees that we need on the job. And he performed that way while he was at the academy. All I can say is we all as a family, as brothers and sisters throughout the department are here for him and his family. And, you know, I'm a little choked up because I was on the particular run with him that night. And I just wish him all the best. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Dabney Hudson, President of the Firefighters Association, Local 36. I'm the president that represents the firefighters, paramedics, and EMTs on the job here in the District of Columbia. And I'd just like to say, once again, thank you to the community as a whole for the outpouring of support. We've got a large family here that we have to take care of, not just Dean, but the members that were on the scene, the members that responded to the scene, and the rest of the department as a whole. So we've got a lot of people we've got to take care of, and it's been great to see the community get involved, to ask questions, to support our members in their time of need too. So as we continue to support the family, we hope the community will continue to support our family, which is the rest of the fire department, and Dane's family as a whole. Thank you.
So I'm John Donnelly, Deputy Fire Chief, District of Columbia Fire and EMS. I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and if there are any questions, we can do our best to answer them.
Sir, we understand that Dane is still in critical condition. Is he conscious? Can you provide any kind of information on
So all we're going to say about his medical condition is the statement that was read earlier, that he's in critical condition. He's had some surgeries. He's having another surgery today. Yes, sir.
Watching this, the public is going to hear how you thank the community, and I guess it's reached beyond the community as well. Have you heard from other fire companies around the community?
We have. At yesterday's fundraiser at the Tune-In, there were firefighters from all around the region there. I know the company house here has been receiving calls from around the country with people looking to see what they can do.
How did the fundraiser go? Did you give us a date on how much money you raised?
So they raised a substantial sum of money. I don't know the number off my end, but the amount is overwhelming for the family to help them through the needs that they have right now.
What else should this community know? What else can this community do to support?
The main thing that Dane, his family, and I think the fire department needs right now is your thoughts and prayers. Thank you very much.
Can we speak with some of you one-on-one, perhaps?
Sure, if you'd like to.
That's crazy.
All right, guys, so just a quick blip there and a little update on the situation with that firefighter, a local firefighter who was injured in that blaze. And like you saw, they only gave that short description of his condition, but he is still in critical condition. So our prayers go out to him. Guys, I'm going to jump right away down to another live source that we have coming in. Who is super psyched for the eclipse, the solar eclipse on August 21st? It's Monday on the 21st, and we're going to see sort of the height of it in D.C. at 2:42 p.m., but there's other cities across the nation that are just going to get total like blackout solar eclipse.
Yeah,
and it's going
like
to be
the really cool, like the moon over the sun, and you have the little like ring of like light coming around it.
Like that symbol of a classic eclipse, what it looks like. That's what it's going to be in Charleston, South Carolina, in Nashville, Tennessee, all the way across on a diagonal up to like Portland, Oregon area. I have a friend over in Oregon who's going to get to watch that. So we're going to check in down in Charleston. I hope this isn't over yet. They're answering some questions about solar eclipse viewing. So let's check in down there.
The amount of users that will be using the cell phone networks coming in and residents.
When do you all anticipate the most traffic? Is it people coming in when they're here or when they're leaving? Or all of it?
I would say we're probably people leaving. When folks get here the day before they are, but you have everyone leaving at the same time right after the event. We're talking about going to our airport, hitting up 26 and 95 to the town. So we expect traffic there at its worst. What hours are minutes after the event.
Are there any estimates of how many people you expect?
No, like I said, about 95% of the hotel occupancy is what?
Hotels are really just about full in all of our jurisdictions. I think those numbers are out there, but
it's a swag at this point. Exactly. It's still unknown as to how many visitors will actually come to this area to view the eclipse. We won't know until after the eclipse. So part of our effort here today, and a part of what's been going on for the past couple of months, is to plan for the unknown and the unexpected. And we think we've covered all possible contingencies associated with the eclipse.
You mentioned an increase in patrol. Do you know about how many extra deputies?
I'm not going to get particulars on how many deputies. I can tell you that we'll have a large amount throughout Charleston County, particularly in our rural areas.
And you mentioned the rural areas like Onagon, McClellanville. Why are you focusing on those? What is that?
Not part of the county is well known. We have a lot of hotspots where folks frequently go out there and just enjoy themselves. So that's the reason why we're going to focus mainly on it.
Is there a couple of events that you're making preparation strategy on? I mean, I think that's something like that has to happen. What do you look to make critical so that you can compare it
something that we as a group trained for years, doing natural disasters, hurricane preparations. So events like this right here, although it's a unique event, but to us, it's something that was planned for, prepared for.
I have one more question. People who live here locally, we've got a lot of questions about should they stay home or should they go see an event, and of course, they can do what they would like, but what would you guys advise? Because I know people can see it from their homes who live here. Should they be trying to get on the road to go somewhere else?
Well, again, we're not trying to take away from the excitement of the event. Ask my opinion about it. Well, stay home. You probably have a better view from your home versus going out and probably being congested downtown, rural parts of Charleston County. It's going to be initial onset, and afterwards it's going to be a mess. So I would recommend probably try to stay at home and look out from there.
And what message would you send to the people who maybe are in their car driving along the road and they want to pull off to the side?
Do not stop until you're driving. Just keep on driving until you got a vantage point to pull over at a gas station or someplace. But do not stop in traffic.
And do not stop along the side of the road on 17, say up around McClellanville, or
do not impede traffic, is what we're saying. So if you're driving in traffic and you're driving roadway, do not stop near the roadway. Pull over at the gas station, take open parking lot, and check it out from there.
one additional area that everyone is very concerned about are our many bridges we have. A lot of people see them as good vantage points. That's especially dangerous if people try stopping on bridges, any of the bridges in the area during the time of the eclipse.
And could someone speak on the Ravenel being closed, the pedestrian cycling?
Yeah, the closing of the walkway on the Ravenel Bridge is something that's done on July 4th. And if you talk about or you think about the enormity of this event and the amount of resources that all these folks up here today talked about, our resources are going to be scattered throughout the city, throughout the county, and putting an unknown number of people onto that walkway. We just, quite frankly, it would not be safe to be able to say that we had the resources to be able to see what's going on. And then if an event occurred, we would have to come up on that lane of traffic to actually service that event, which really just creates a very unsafe situation. So that was a decision that was made throughout the community here, in consulting with DOT as well.
And will the lights on the bridge come on?
All the lights that are on automatic will come on when it gets dark.
The safety on the walkway, is that about the weight on the walkway, or it's about numbers of people and being able to know how many people are up there and being able to respond to them should something happen?
And are you worried about cars actually physically stopping on the bridge? I'm sure people have thought about that.
We are, and we have tow trucks on standby ready for that, so we'll be ready if somebody does stop, and we'll have tow trucks be able to come up and move them out of the road. It's too dangerous to have them up there.
What about eclipse glasses? I mean, I've seen them for sale in the grocery store. Is there a place that you guys recommend to get your glasses?
You can find the eclipse approved glasses for sale pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
The key to the glasses is ensuring that they're ISO certified and approved. That's what you want to look for on those glasses before you purchase them.
Anybody else?
Thank you all.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's having a slippery slope.
All right, guys, we are back in the newsroom from that little solar eclipse update for you. I want to bring you over now to some video that we're getting in before it ends. Some chopper video, actually, coming back locally, Anne Arundel County. Check it out, guys. You're looking at a house fire that just occurred about an hour ago, and one is dead. At least one is dead in this fatal fire in Shadyside, Virginia. And this happened in the 11 o'clock hour, guys. They saw smoke coming from this home. At least one person is dead, and we're getting chopper video in now. I don't think there's any sound, but
Stations on Live Channel 1B are now switching to Austin, Texas.
yeah, guys. So firefighters responded to this scene, and there were at least 50 of them on the scene. It's a big fire.
That's a lot of them. Yeah, 50. That's
Shady
huge.
Side, Anne Arundel County. We're gonna let this play out for a second just so you can see it, and I'm gonna give you the location.
Yeah, 50 firefighters, though. That's a lot. It must have been just incredibly big fire. I mean, you can see the destruction there to the front of the house, the front left of the house, the ladder going up on top of the roof.
There it is, guys. Yeah, pretty scary. No word on really what caused it. The bulk of the fire was under control. Really no comments on what the cause of the fire, like I said. And this happened this morning. So that's what we know there. Rather, this is Maryland, not Virginia. I'm sorry. Just realizing that. Shady Side, Maryland. All right, guys, check out that footage for a second, and then we're going to jump over to another feed. We're just going to keep it rolling for the day.
This on Live Channel 1, we're going to go down to New Orleans, Louisiana, where we are awaiting a presser on flooding preps there. Source is WVUE. You must courtesy if you take it live, and you can stream it.
There we go. This is a little bit of a close-up. I'm not sure how much longer we have this chopper video, guys, but we are told not too much longer. But you can see, yeah, the fire truck's there. Lots of presents. Looks like something in the driveway.
A boat, maybe?
Yeah, a couple boat or two?
Oh, are there multiple boats?
I don't know, but that definitely does look like a boat.
There's definitely a boat directly in front of the house.
Right.
On the left side, it's a little bit unclear, but it honestly kind of looks like another boat to me.
It is unclear. Yep, still no new information on this, but this is just west of the Chesapeake Bay. And like I said, it happened earlier this morning, 10:45, 11 a.m. One person was found dead, but actually it's too early to find the gender or the age of the victim or how exactly he or she died. No word on the cause. So that's all we know, guys. Leaving you here at this scene for just a second, guys, and then we're going to jump down to New Orleans, Louisiana, for an update on some of the flooding that they've been seeing in the past few days. So we're done with that feed for now. It looks like that's all we got on that. One is dead in that Shady Side, Maryland fire. Now you're looking at a shot of a podium in New Orleans, Louisiana. There was a big storm on August 5th, and lots of stuff went out of service. There's a lot of flooding, a lot of problems in New Orleans with their drainage and their storm sort of response, and how they handled the water and the rising water and the rain that continued on into the week. Now it's August 10th, and actually we're going to hear from some type of officials, I'm not quite sure who, from the city of New Orleans about what's going on now. an update with that. So we'll check in there.
I mean, flooding's always an issue down there, so
totally.
They're well prepared to handle it. But
we've seen a lot of rain.
Yeah, a lot of rain. I mean,
up and down the East Coast.
That's kind of what happens. It's storm season for sure.
Totally is. Yeah, we'll get some more information on what exactly this is, but this is our next sort of live thing that we're bringing from you. But while we have the time and just hanging out, welcome to the show. Molly Nevola and intern Cam in the room today. We want to hear from you guys, so let us know what's up. And if you're on our stream and you just want to chat it up, let us know what you're thinking about. Shout out to Cam's friend.
Yeah, Natasha.
Birthday,
shout out to her.
If you're on.
21.
Happy 21st.
Big 2-1.
Super exciting. It's good times in the summer.
I know.
It's different from celebrating at school.
It's definitely a good time to have it, though.
Yeah, I think so.
A little
too.
summer birthday action.
Yeah, totally. We're coming at you guys from D.C., so take a look quickly at a live look at the White House right now. Wind is blowing. Beautiful day here. I believe that chicken that was still on the White House lawn is still there.
It's still there?
Or I don't know. I thought I saw that on this morning's show, but they may have removed it. There was a inflatable chicken with the likeness of President Trump thrown over, and it was sort of sitting in the back on the ellipse yesterday in the White House. And
surely that'd be taken down.
I know, that's what I thought too. But
someone
like Instagrammed it or something, talked about it this morning. So it's probably gone, but you could actually see it on this shot yesterday, which was so crazy because you could see it like on the edge, going back in the backyard there. But anyway, that's a live shot of the White House today, guys, and we'll check in back down in New Orleans and wait for this presser regarding the flooding down there, and see what's new with that. If anything else breaks, guys, of course we're going to bring you all the live stuff that we have, and that always takes precedence. And this is actually going to be live as well, so we'll wait on this event and then come back with you guys into the newsroom in DC. All right, guys, checking in to New Orleans.
He just said 30 seconds, so he just said 30 seconds.
Thank everybody for coming. I especially want to thank Governor John Bell Edwards for being with us today. This is the second time he has been with us during this difficult time, so I certainly appreciate his support. He's always been a tremendous partner for me and for the people of the city of New Orleans, and of course Superintendent Henderson Lewis, and of course other city officials and state officials that are with us. As all of you know, this is our fourth media avail today to update the public about a major power outage at the Sewage and Water Board plant. I shared with the public that this outage has the potential to compromise the capacity of our drainage on the east bank of New Orleans, west of the Industrial Canal. We're currently running on our last backup power source. As I said, this does not affect New Orleans East, the lower Ninth Ward, or Algiers. Updates have been out of the abundance of caution only because of the likelihood of rain throughout the day. Due to our potential rainfall forecasted by the National Weather Service over the course of the next day, the city is urging residents in the affected areas to stay vigilant, to move their vehicles to higher ground, take necessary actions to protect personal property, and stay off the roadway during thunderstorms, unless an emergency makes it absolutely necessary to do so. At this time, drinking water, sewage service for all of the city are safe and are not affected by this outage, and we don't expect that it will be. Crews remain on site now working to repair the down turbine and secure backup power to the pumping stations. They are reporting making good progress. We're going to do everything in our power over the next few hours to secure additional equipment and to get that plant back up and in order. If all the power from Entergy continues, and we expect that it will, we will be able to handle any typical rainfall that we have. We have more than 20 megawatts of power, 38 of 58 available pumps in the areas that could be impacted, and we continue to work around the clock with General Electric and their staff to repair Turbine 1 as soon as possible. Earlier this morning, I declared a state of emergency to ensure that we had the maximum flexibility and most resources to respond to this challenge. As you know, at 9 o'clock this morning, I led an emergency meeting of the Surge and Water Board. Number one, to get an after-action report on July 22nd and the August 5th flood events to take additional steps to improve the drainage system. At the meeting today, the board also took serious actions and approved an emergency procurement authorization for the immediate repair of the broken pumps. They also approved the process to secure a third-party company to provide interim management of the entire sewage and water boston system and to conduct an independent after-action analysis, which I promised the public we would do. We also have 14 2-megawatt pumps on the way to the city that will arrive. Generators. I apologize. 14 2-megawatt generators that are on the way to the city that are going to provide redundancy and will stay with us throughout the hurricane season or as needed as the other generators come up. Again, I want to thank Governor Edwards for standing with New Orleans on Monday. Both the governor and I, along with council members and state legislators, walked the streets of Treme and Lakeview to visit the residents and businesses who were flooded. It is always a very difficult thing to go through, and of course we stand with them. This morning, after I learned of the threat to our drainage system, I called the governor at 1:30 a.m. He was kind enough to wake up and take my call, and immediately, as he has always done, pledged his continued and his aggressive support. So I want to thank him for that. In closing, I want to ensure the people of New Orleans that we're doing all we can to shore up our drainage system, and we will not relent in this effort. Additionally, we will work hard to mitigate and reduce the risks that remain, provide the public with accurate and with timely information while working hard to rectify any deficiencies that we have in our drainage system. So, Governor, again, thank you so much. Please help me welcome Governor John Bel Edwards. Thank you.
Mayor, I want to thank you for your work and leadership down here on this issue and many others. Out of an abundance of caution, I did sign a declaration of emergency for the parish of Orleans to make sure that the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness is leaning forward, because if we get a heavier than expected rainfall, time will be of the essence, and so we want to make sure that we can move as quickly as possible. I do want to thank your Office of Homeland Security for working very closely with mine. Aaron Miller and Colonel Jim Wascom have been in very frequent contact, and in fact, after I got off the phone with you, I called Jim Wascom to get him started doing some things, and as he was making his phone calls, he was following behind what Aaron was already doing, and so we're all working well together. And obviously this is a serious situation, but it's not something to be panicked about. We're going to do everything that we can to lean forward, be as responsive as we can be to make sure that we get through this next period of time without undue problems. And we do ask Mother Nature for a little help. So I always ask people to pray, and so we can certainly do that, that we don't experience any terribly heavy rainfalls that would exceed the capacity here is in New Orleans to handle. Superintendent?
Thank you, Governor Edwards. Due to the uncertainty of pumping capacity for the east bank of New Orleans, west of the Industrial Canal, and a rainy forecast, in consultation with the city and school leaders, the Orleans Parish School Board and the Recovery School District has determined that all public schools will remain closed, and that's for all students, for Friday, August 11th, 2017. That includes both direct run and charter schools. The goal of making the decision at this time is to provide families and staff ample time to plan and secure childcare for the remainder of the week. Essential personnel for both OPSB and RSD remain on duty to monitor the situation. The safety of our students and staff is our #1 priority, and this closure is being done out of an abundance of caution. As I said this morning, it's better safe than sorry. As always, we urge our families and our staff to adhere to all warnings from the city to ensure their safety.
And as I said, our Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness teams are working together. IEOC is operational and will continue to be. Of course, you saw this morning the police chief and the fire chief and EMS with us. We will make sure that we pre-position assets in the event that something occurs quickly like it did last year. We're also working with the state to make sure we have all the resources if necessary. I do want to reiterate a couple of things. Prayer would be great, and I hope that, as the governor said, Mother Nature does bless us. But in the event that that does not happen, we're going to make sure that we have everything in place so that people are safe. I want to make sure that people understand that this is not a time to panic. In response to some criticisms that were justly levied last week, notification of what the current situation is really important so that people can pre-position assets and take responsibility as much as they can for making sure that they are safe. And in the event that an event occurs, that we're prepared to help people in the most difficult of circumstances, and we are, and we will be. So I thank all of you again, Governor. Thank you so much, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Mayor, you mentioned at the Susan Water Board that you were hoping that the turbine that was affected by the fire would be up and online by the end of the day. What is the current timetable for that, and how is the repairs going?
I don't have an exact answer for you, but it has been reported to me that repairs are going well and that they expect to try to bring it up by this afternoon and to bring it up slowly to make sure that it works. Of course, there's a lot that can happen between, as they say, the lip and the cup, and we will see. We are not relying on that. As I told you, we have ordered 14 2-megawatt generators that are on the way as we speak. When those get here, it takes a bit of time to hook those up. I don't have a date or a time for you, although I think it's going to be in the next 48 hours. So I just think we're in a risk period between now and then, and we will remain vigilant. We'll give you the information as when. I am hopeful that it'll be up and operating this afternoon, but I don't want to tell you that until someone tells me that it's fixed, that they try it, and it actually works. And then we will have the kind of redundancy that we need for the rest of the hurricane season while we wait for the other 2 turbines to come up, which, as we reported today, should be, in the near future.
In regard to the fire event itself, I've had a few people ask, did it rise the level of a structure fire?
No.
Was the fire department called at
No,
all?
they were not. It was an internal fire within the turbine itself, and it was a critical part.
Handled on site?
Yes, handled on site and handled quickly, as far as I know.
Any indication as to what caused it at this point?
I do not.
Is it, if you could just address this, there are a lot of people watching this right now who are frustrated with the process. We're not watching a tropical storm or a hurricane. It's actually stung in some parts of the city, but faulty infrastructure is the reason why we're here today and why you're addressing this, urging people to be cautious. Is that, I don't want to say it's the norm, but do you understand people's frustration that they're leaving their kids home and they're parking their cars on neutral grounds when the sun shines out?
Well, of course, this is one of the frustrations we had last week when people said, well, why didn't you tell us the storm was coming? I think the National Weather Service said they couldn't even see it as well. So, of course, one of the challenges that the governor and I share every time there's a hurricane threat is to go or not to go. And by the way, if you go and something doesn't happen, people say, why did you send me out too soon? So just in terms of emergency operation response, it's complicated. So, of course, we understand people's anxiety, but at the same time, if you don't warn people and you don't give them a heads up, then they get frustrated about that too. The second part the point that I would like to make is that right now the nation is having a robust discussion about the need for massive infrastructure improvements across the entire United States of America. We have a $5 trillion infrastructure deficit, and Congress right now is arguing about the depth and the breadth of that, and they haven't made much progress. But our sewer system and our infrastructure is Exhibit A in how damaged our infrastructure is and has been over a long period of time, and how much money we have invested. We are in the process, as you know, in the city of one of the most expensive rebuilds. We have been spending $150 million at the Sewage and Water Board for this particular purpose, but it takes time. And you have old machines that go down. And so, yes, this has been with us for a very, very long time. As we do the after-action report, we will look at the amount of money that's going to be required to fix the whole drainage system. The answer is we don't have enough. And then how we triage that. We had the same discussion about our roads. As we said, we've had $2 billion to to rebuild our sewer and drainage system, which we're working on, but it's a $9 billion problem. And so this will continue for a very long period of time in terms of how to get the infrastructure in place. In the meantime, though, one of the things that we have to do is find redundant energy supplies to make sure that we have what we need, and we're going to continue to do that as aggressively as we can.
If I
Yes.
could get one clarification, something you mentioned this morning. Were you saying that you wanted to get a third-party team in to manage the sewage and water board for the interim, or a third party to do an after-action?
I said I want both, and we're going to do both. We will bring in a team that will help us begin managing and overseeing the interim management, and we will also have a third-party independent analysis so that we all could have a better level of trust about the information that we're getting, which all of you know has changed far too much in a very short period of time for me to feel comfortable with. I have not felt comfortable in the last couple of days with the information we're getting, which is why I went to the plant last night and saw and listened myself, and then got together with other folks so that I could begin to report as accurately as I could based on the information that was given to me what was happening. It's also why I decided to start to notify the public, while hopefully not panicking them, of what the risks are and making sure that they knew that we're bringing backup as well. None of this, at the end of the day, even if we're operating at full capacity, can be done without people cooperating and working with each other. So again, in the event that we have an event, not driving through standing water, helping people out, repositioning your car, all of those things we need to do together. But as the governor said, with great prayer and a lot of hard work, we hopefully will be okay.
After this, what does it take for people to restore trust and confidence in the sewage and water board after things that have happened over the last month, from July 22nd to Saturday today?
Well, I would say this, that it's important for people to stay focused on the big picture, because it's critical. We have critical infrastructure needs, which have been with us for a long, long time, pre-Katrina and post-Katrina. Secondly, the event last week was so incredibly significant that even if the Sewage and Water Board was giving us good information and there was appropriate notice, people would still have gotten significantly damaged. Having said that, I think all of us agree that when there's a credibility problem, it's really hard to get back. You then just have to go back in, you have to unpeel it, you have to find out where the deficiencies are, you have to fix that. But those fixes alone are not going to bring us to where the city needs to be in terms of infrastructure improvements. And by the way, even on our best day, it is still a risk reduction system, because nobody can guarantee to anybody that there's not something that's going to happen that can potentially hurt us. It's about giving people information, and we'll continue to work on it as we go forward. All right, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys, cool. So an update on the flooding situation, the power situation in New Orleans, not so good. That was the mayor of New Orleans, Mitch Landrieu, and of course the governor as well, who ended it. So both of them, they're big-time officials from New Orleans, speaking out about this. And this happens, like Cam was saying, it's a big thing for this city. And they even mentioned Katrina, which was way back in 2005. So ever since then, knowing that this is just this is a tough season to go through for this city, and it's just how it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, and just geographically, that's how it is. But they've gone through it a bunch of times now. They are,
they're way more prepared.
Kind of ready. Yeah, I mean,
they're way more prepared, I think, than they were. Yeah, I mean, that's just my thought.
I mean, it's obviously not easy or anything, but it's definitely better than it was.
Anybody watching from down there? I'm curious if we have any viewers from down there. I know everyone's kind of from different areas. Let me know where you're watching from and give your city a shout out. We are here in Washington, D.C., guys. Live look at the Capitol Dome there. That's where we're based out of. We're Fox 5 local news in the digital newsroom. We're going to go now back to this press conference that we were hyping up for the morning about this new bridge that's going in the year 2021. That's the timeline. And they revealed the plans for it, what it looks like, just today. It was sort of the breaking story that we opened with. The mayor of D.C., Muriel Bowser, was there to announce it, along with some other officials, and Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton from the district. So kind of a big story, really cool stuff, and the timeline sounds reasonable to me. It's a long time going project that they put a lot of effort into. It's going to be the new Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge in Southeast, right along crossing the Anacostia in Southeast D.C. So we're going to replay that for you guys from this morning, because it's pretty interesting. And we're going to go from there. Of course, we'll always break in, guys, with live breaking news if we have anything come up. So be ready for that. Quick live look at New York City today. It's always kind of cool to see a shot there. We usually have a camera up, gorgeous shot, kind of hazy, of the Empire State Building. So cool little shot of New York. All right, guys, we're going to go over to what I said we were going to play out this press conference from earlier this morning. Check out this new bridge that's going to go up in D.C. and sort of the plans behind it and the timeline for it and more on its design in this press conference.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's great to see you all here, and I want to get started with our good news. We are excited today to unveil the design for the new Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge. I would like to thank everybody who has been such a part of making this day possible. Let me acknowledge our wonderful Congresswoman who is here and who will speak to you momentarily, Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. All her colleagues who have been helpful, and I know she has some helpful colleagues who are making sure that the infrastructure needs that we have in Washington, D.C. are being met. And I also want to acknowledge all of our team who's present. And I don't have to tell most of you assembled here that getting big infrastructure projects like this underway is a huge undertaking. As it's been the case in the district, it's been a multi-year undertaking, but we have unwound it and got it going. And I want to thank Leif Dormschow and our entire team at the District Department of Transportation. Give them a big round of applause as well. So I also don't have to tell you that investing in our infrastructure is key to how we can continue to be a growing city and the best city in the world. And improving our bridges is very critical to achieving this mission. We should all be proud that our city is well above the national average for structural deficient bridges. That sounds like a strange statement. So our bridges are better than their bridges, but not much. The national average is 7.3%. In D.C., we're at 2.4%, but we want that number to be zero. When I first became mayor, I tasked the department and Director Dormschow with creating a system that makes that zero number a reality. He and the DDOT team are doing that and more with this incredible project. The new Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge is part of the larger South Capitol Street Bridge project. This is a $441 million initiative. It is the largest construction project in the history of the District of Columbia. It will create more than 200 new full-time and part-time jobs in the city. And I just want to now let you see it because we are also very proud of how it looks. I told the director that I wanted this to be a signature project for the District of Columbia, and now we would like you to take a look. Don't you like it? All right, I love it. It is designed and soon to be constructed by the South Capitol Street Bridge builders. This is a joint venture between Archer Western Construction, LLC, and the Granite Construction Company with AECOM as the lead designer. And I am just very pleased that we have a design, we have a team, and we're ready to get going. In just a few minutes, we're going to show you a video that outlines all the details of the project. I'm going to let the director now tell you a little bit more about how we got here and about the bridge.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. Mayor Bowser said it best. This is a huge milestone for the district. This new bridge is state-of-the-art. It is a one-of-a-kind bridge, and it will stand up against international design competitions across the globe. We're thrilled about the design and all the other amenities that we want to show you with the video. So stay tuned for the video where we're going to talk through the surrounding area and the other elements of this project in addition to the bridge. The project includes parks on either side of this bridge. We're building 2 ovals on either side. The oval on the east side, okay, so the east side is to my right here, will function as a meadow, seamlessly tying together the transition from this developed infrastructure into the surrounding nature and the Parkland-Suitway corridor. The oval on the west side of the bridge will function more like DuPont Circle and have passive recreation and a formal park space. And we'll show you all of this visually with the video in a matter of minutes. We're also replacing the Interstate 295 bridges. We're improving the area's drainage systems, and we're increasing dramatically the bicycle and pedestrian access, not just across the bridge and across the river, but along the riverfront. And so I think people are going to be really excited when they see those bicycle and pedestrian features. This was an incredible team effort. The mayor acknowledged DDOT, and I see a large number of DDOT team members here today. This took one DDOT, all sorts of disciplines coming together to make this a reality. But we also had terrific partners. Eleanor Holmes Norton and Steny Foyer were fighting for federal funds to make sure that this project had the investment capital that it needed to become a reality. The Office of Contracting and Procurement, I see Bill Sharp, our Chief Procurement Officer. Bill and I spent too much time together over the past 2.5 years, but we're still friends, which is important. Bill, thank you very much. You're a warrior, you're a hero, you made it happen for us. We have representatives from Council Member Allen and White's offices here. Chris Lawson has been a steadfast partner at Federal Highway Administration, meeting with us literally every week to talk about this project and a lot of other projects in our delivery pipeline. I want to thank Chris specifically for his leadership. The National Capital Planning Commission, the Fine Arts, the Commission on Fine Arts, U.S. Coast Guard, National Park Service. We've got private partners here from the Washington Nationals, the Riverfront bid. Uday, thank you, from Georgetown University, was kind of our architectural curator throughout the whole process and is probably more so than anybody responsible for making sure that the bidders understood the high visual quality expectations that we are going to have for this project and we're able to achieve for this project. Thank you, Uwe, in particular. The list of partners goes on and on. It's only because of this team effort that we are here today, about to start the largest public infrastructure construction project in the district's history. I mean, that's a powerful, powerful statement. I want to acknowledge the South Capitol Bridge Builders, Archer Western, which is with the Walsh Group out of Chicago, Granite Construction, AECOM. We have got the best in the business working with us. And we also have helping us as our owner's rep, HNTV, and I know some of their representatives are here today. So it takes the public and the private sector to make these things happen. My biggest thanks goes out to that DDOT team who worked with us on everything from acquiring property to organizing the request for proposals, studying the bridge elements. So we made sure we had a defensible record of decision with the federal government, just hours and hours of work by the DDOT team to make sure that we got it right. Delmar Lytle in particular was our project manager. You can't miss him. He's the tallest person here and he's in the back and he's here with his young daughter. Thank you for coming back to share this moment with us. So we're really excited about the bridge. We'll get to the video in a moment, but I'd like to invite Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton up to talk to us. Thank you, Congresswoman.
Mayor Bowser, you deserve to sit down. High five. But I do want to express my appreciation to you for bringing this bridge. This is really Frederick Douglass Bridge number 3. And I'll tell you the saga of the Frederick Douglass Bridge in a moment. I know that Councilmember Charles Allen and Councilmember Trayon White were due to be here. I'm sure they would have been here if they were here. But the reason that their importance here is because this bridge, among other things, and it is a gateway bridge to the nation's capital, but it joins their 2 wards. Very important for the economic development and for the transportation from those wards in our city. So you've heard that the South Capitol Street corridor project now underway that is unveiled today. That's pretty zany, isn't it? Is the largest construction project in D.C. history. Well, if it's the largest project in D.C. history, this Frederick Douglass Bridge also has taken the longest to build in D.C. history. So there's really a saga of the South Capitol Street Bridge which will make us appreciate what the mayor and the city are unveiling today. The bridge before you, the bridge behind me, is the temporary South Capitol Street Bridge. The reason it was built is because the first South Capitol Street Bridge, which by now is almost 70 years old, was so dangerous that you simply didn't want human beings or autos to cross it. So the South Capitol Street Bridge has become my major project on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee on which I serve. I can almost measure how long I've been in Congress by the work it's taken to bring this bridge to where the mayor has now brought us. The current bridge is not the way we're doing this bridge. The current bridge was built appropriation by appropriation until we got enough funds to build it. And that's why I'm sorry that my good friend Steny Hoyer isn't here, because he and I have more in common than friendship. We have in common constituents who needed to use this bridge. Then Congress still allowed earmarks, and that's the only reason that bridge is up, that I was able to get earmarks screaming that one of these days we were all going to be embarrassed because the South Capitol Bridge was going to come tumbling down. I got earmarks for the South Capitol Street Bridge and the 11th Street Bridge, and so I thought we're ready to go on both. And I gave priority, of course, to the South Capitol Street Bridge because it was in dangerous condition. So when they reduced the amount of the earmarks, I had to figure out what to do, and that was to feed Peter and starve Paul. I shifted funds from the 11th Street Bridge, which is now up, by the way, to the South Capitol Street Bridge because the South Capitol Street Bridge was the priority. That gave enough money for the replacement bridge that is behind me. Then, to fill in funding for the 11th Street Bridge earmark, which I had robbed, I got funds from something called the National Corridor Fund. And DC then made up the difference using parking revenue. I do love that. Parking revenue, not your taxpayer funds. Meanwhile, we have been able to get funds for the 11th Street Bridge, and we're very proud of how the city has finished the 11th Street Bridge, while the South Capitol Street Bridge was the priority, and it's just going up now. We're hoping that this unveiling signals that the South Capitol Street Bridge can be built just as expeditiously as the 11th Street Bridge was. That too was a very complicated gateway bridge. That too is a federal highway. That is why we qualify for a great deal of federal funds. like the 11th Street, the Frederick Douglass Street Bridge, of course, is in a category of its own. And it comes at a very interesting time. I expect my bill, which is almost to the floor, celebrating the bicentennial of Frederick Douglass, to come to the floor shortly, because we're at the 200th year of the birth of Frederick Douglass. And we're now, under my bill, finding appropriate ways to honor Frederick Douglass. Well, Mayor Bowser, I think you have found the most appropriate way to honor Frederick Douglass. Build this bridge. Thank you for doing it.
Let's give Eleanor another round of applause for getting us our bridge going and staying on it and working with her colleagues to make sure we could see this day. I, too, want to acknowledge and thank our friends in the federal government at USDOT who have been with us every step of the way. So thank you, Chris, and please join us.
Mayor Bowser, Congresswoman Norton, I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the invitation, and thank you very much. For those of you in the audience, my name is Chris Lawson. I am the Division Administrator for the Federal Highway Administration's District of Columbia Division Office. And I've been in this job for about 7.5 years, and I will say that I have had the extreme pleasure of working on 2 transformational and regionally significant projects in the district with the District Department of Transportation. And they are the 11th Street Bridge and the South Capitol Street Bridge. And I just want to tell you a quick story. About 2.5 years ago, the new director came into his position, and he immediately wanted to meet weekly with the Federal Highway Administration on this project because, from his perspective, this project had been in development for far too long. We proceeded to meet weekly, we set milestones, and because of his leadership, I would say that we're here today over the past 2.5 years because he really accelerated this project. Tough leadership, but leadership from Dave Dorff Joe. I just want to say it has been a pleasure working with the district on bringing this project to where it is today. I want to give a sincere thank you to the leadership and staff at the District Department of Transportation, at the various other agencies that the director alluded to, as well as the consultants who are here today. And I just want to say congratulations to the team, the South Capitol Street Bridge builders, for the awarding of the project. So thank you all. I look forward to talking to many of you this afternoon. Thank you.
I would also like to acknowledge our statehood delegation, Representative Franklin Garcia. Give Franklin a big round of applause. As well as Senator Paul Strauss. Thank you, Senator, and Senator Michael Brown. Thank you for being here. And our Director of the Department of Energy and the Environment is here, Tommy Wells. Thank you, Tommy Wells, for your leadership on all that we have here. And Eugene Kinlow, who is our Director of Federal and Regional Affairs. Thank you, Eugene. So we're now happy to answer just a few questions, and then we're going to go in, and I really encourage everybody to take a look at the video. You can see this drawing really comes to life in the video. Any questions?
Can you talk about maybe with WCSD?
Uh-huh.
Talk about what the first phase is going to be when the bridge is going to come down, or talk about what people in the neighborhood can expect as far as.
Sure. Leif, can you just talk about timeline with us and all of the different phases we're going to go through?
So first of all, there is design work that needs to continue. That's already been advanced, and the first construction activity will be in the late winter and spring of next year. So the public won't see any major construction until some of the design submittals are.
Hey guys, if you are joining us on the stream, we're going to switch it up a little bit. We were replaying that event from earlier this morning where the mayor was there to announce these new plans for the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge. Now we're going to actually jump down to Austin, Texas, guys, at the state capitol rotunda where former Governor Mark White is lying in state. We heard about this yesterday. We were at his funeral live on our show yesterday. Let's jump down there for this footage while we have it.
All officers,
right, guys, looks like we have a pause in that feed. That was the feed in Austin, Texas, the state Capitol Rotunda, where former Governor Mark White is now lying in state. He passed away this past weekend, age of 77. Multiple complications, but it was known that he had kidney cancer. Yesterday, we actually took that funeral live to air. It was a long ceremony, and former President George W. Bush actually delivered part of the eulogy, so we were able to bring that to you guys live. We're going to be looking around for some other stuff and some other video to bring to you. I know in particular there's one event from this morning in the sports-related world that I want to bring, but we're going to have to see if we can get that in or not. But for now, guys, we are in the digital newsroom. Cam, second to last day.
Yep, second to last day.
He's going back to school soon, and we're excited for him. So anyway, I just wanted to check in with you guys and see who's on. Texas, I saw that you were on earlier, so if you're still on, hi, how you doing? Good to see everybody that's on, and the old regulars, or if you're new to the stream, welcome to our show. If you're interested in our stream, guys, click subscribe, that red button that says subscribe. Be part of our channel, be part of our conversation every day during our stream. And we're bringing you just the live breaking stuff, the most that we have from all over the nation, really. This was obviously down in Austin earlier, and we're going to be efforting some more stuff for you. Things change around all the time. We just had word that something that we were going to bring to you changed time, so you just never know what's going to happen. So check in with us here and there, guys. Keep us on your sidebar, minimized or whatever, on one of your tabs. And we're going to come. Oh, there's Texas saying hey. Oh, he's there for Cam's last day. Well, it's the second to last day.
Second to
right?
last day.
You tomorrow.
I still have tomorrow.
So, and usually he wasn't really on Fridays, so this will be a nice Friday for him. And then we'll say goodbye from there. But Texas says good luck. We say good luck. And yeah. It's a good internship summer. So we've had a lot of great interns in here, so it's been fun to get to know them throughout, helping me out for this. All right, guys, we are going to give you a shot of the Capitol Dome and come back with more video for you guys in a little bit.
had your mics up and the speakers were on, what would happen?
I'm streaming now. Okay, guys, let's come on back from our little break here. Thanks so much for bearing with us here today. It's Molly and intern Cam. Intern Ben's in the back. He's going to say, hey, let's talk a little sports today. We got Redskins, Ravens. We got the Battle of the Beltway. They're reporting all morning on our morning show, if you guys are following sports. So preseason game tonight.
Yep, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Skins, Ravens, starting off the preseason. I mean, there shouldn't be too much first-team action. I expect most of the big names, Kirk Cousins, Jameson Crowder, Joe Flacco on the other side, to not get too much run. I mean, I think maybe like a series, 2 series, no more than a quarter. For first preseason, so you really just want to get the players' feet wet, essentially, just kind of get them back into the feel of game action. But obviously, you want to avoid any kind of injuries. The first one is really it's a real tone setter for all the guys who are kind of on the fringe of the roster, either trying to make the team right on that edge. So this is kind of where they set the tone as far as either making the team, maybe making the practice squad, or being cut. With some cuts probably going to happen after this first game.
Super exciting. Yeah, if anybody's out there watching, first of all, where is the game? FedEx? Or is it Ravens?
Yeah, it's a bid in Baltimore.
M&T Bank?
Yeah, M&T.
Yeah, exciting. I've been up there. It's become fun to go to. Anybody going? If they're on the stream, a lot of you guys aren't local, so.
I wish I could go to the game, but unfortunately I won't be there. But Cam, I have a question. Is there any rookie on the Redskins that you're happy to see, like that you want to see, that you're expecting something great out of this first game?
Yeah, I mean definitely the first round pick Allen, the defensive tackle, defensive lineman. He fell a long way to us in the draft. He was dynamic last year at Alabama, so I really want to see kind of what he's going to bring as far as a new dimension on that defensive line. Our line struggled a bit last year, so. If he can come in and make an impact right away as a rookie, I mean that's huge, and this is the first taste of that. I mean, we saw anybody who watched any football last night, you saw Deshaun Watson and Christian McCaffrey kind of get off on the right foot in both of their rookie careers. I mean that's the quarterback for the Texans and the running back for the Carolina Panthers. So hopefully we can get that kind of production as well out of our rookie. And it is preseason. A lot of those guys are going against second teams, maybe third teams, really basic kind of coverages and stuff, especially out of the defense, really vanilla stuff. But you still like to see that effort and that impact right out of the gate.
And what are you thinking, Ben?
I'm looking forward to seeing one of my old buddies. He's a underrated guy. His name's Zach Pascal. He plays receiver for the Redskins, and I'm hoping that he shows his skills and everything. He makes his team because I talked to him when I was at Redskin Park, and he seems like he's in that mode, like he's in a different mentality than everyone else. He's like, I'm focused. I'm just gonna do whatever it takes to make this 53-man roster. No matter what it is.
Is he definitely playing tonight, or you don't know?
Yeah, he should be getting a lot of PT. He's one of the rookie receivers there.
Cool.
So I'm excited just to see a guy that I'm familiar with. See how he's emerged over the years and see what he's gonna do tonight. In the professional stage.
And who's super excited just about football coming back in general?
Right here, hands
Yeah,
up.
right? The best season.
Hands up.
So good. Let us know, guys, where you're watching from, what your team is. We're excited about it. We've been talking about it all morning because, when you're here in DMV and it's DC Baltimore, it's exciting.
It's like this year, it seemed like the rookies that, the rookies are making everyone eager, the names, because we've been watching these guys for the last couple of years. It's like, we're excited to see what they're going to do on NFL stage and see how they're going to adjust, It's another guy, Jarrell Peppers. He's a freakish guy. Like, we don't know if he's going to be on offense, defense, or special teams, but he's going to be somewhere out there doing something, exciting, and people are going to be looking for, that eye-popping play. So I'm just looking forward to tonight's exhibitions, so.
Very cool. I wonder who's going. It's so easy up the road. Okay, so also in sports news, kind of, DC United soccer, they signed their most expensive player ever. We had a camera there. Don't have that video for you, unfortunately, because we never got it back in-house. But they signed Paul Arriola.
Yeah, so Paul Arriola has gotten a couple caps for the U.S. men's national team. So he does have some big game experience. He played in the Gold Cup, which we won recently. So DC United are, I want to say, last actually in the league.
Really?
They're the worst team in the whole MLS. And their big downfall so far has been offense. They have just an anemic offense. We're scoring less than 1 goal a game. So, horrible, essentially. So he, as the team's most expensive signing ever at $3 million, is really kind of tipped to bring in and energize that attack, really create some space on the wings, maybe up the middle, and hopefully get us more goals. Because essentially, at the end of the day, you got to score to win. So he is, so as I said, he does play for the U.S. national team. So he's obviously, based on the price tag alone, very good player.
What is the price tag? Let's tell our viewers.
So $3 million, which is the highest ever that DC United has paid for a player. I mean, that pales in comparison to what a lot of like LA Galaxy, NYCFC have paid for players, and it's not even the same world as what they pay over in Europe with the
with the English Premier.
Premier League and just all the European leagues. I mean, PSG. So for context, PSG just broke the record, just crushed the record, blew it out of the water, and they just spent 220 million euros on a player.
Wow.
So, which is somewhere in the realm of like $280 million. So, that's whatever, almost 100 times as much as DC United paid for Paul Areola. But smaller league, there's definitely a lot less money in it. Owners aren't as rich, so still a big deal though. I mean, he is a great player and hopefully can kind of energize the DC attack.
Yeah, totally cool. So just some sports news for you guys today. They were out there at that announcement today. We had a camera there. Maybe we'll bring that onto our evening broadcast. But for now, we're here in the afternoon, rolling out the second to last day for my interns here. Cam and Ben were in the newsroom. It's been really fun to kind of bring some digital stuff. I'm going to miss their help a lot, so we'll see if we have a new crew of fall interns that come and help out too. But, we're doing our thing in the newsroom. So, today was sort of a mishmash of stuff. We don't have a lot of stuff breaking or coming into us live. Excuse me, and I also wanted to bring you this. I know. I'm joking. And I'm going to cry because I'm going to miss them. I really wanted to bring you this press conference at RFK Stadium, which is where DC United plays. But, no dice on that. So, any last thoughts, guys? We're probably going to roll out the show from here and just take, a little earlier into the afternoon. We'll be back tomorrow as normal. If you are part of our channel, subscribe to our channel, guys. Chat with us every day. We're on at 11-ish. Right below. Yeah, you got it. I love it. We know from the camera. We're on at 11 into the afternoon, depending on breaking news. Yesterday we stayed a little later and kind of brought you the news about Terrence Sterling, the case where the DC police shot him and killed him last September. That broke right at the cusp of the 5 p.m. show, so it went right into the 5 o'clock show. But as always, guys, you can follow us on social media, Fox 5 DC on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and of course our Facebook page, Fox 5 DC, and we post a lot of these sort of chunks, bits that we do here whenever we have live and breaking news that's interesting, and you can comment on it. We also post our web stories up to date and everything like that. So we're a big medley of digital stuff to bring you for the afternoon. But with that, I guess we will close it out. See you tomorrow on a normal Friday. Cam will be back in.
I'll be back
last day for last Friday. We'll say our goodbyes, so be sure to join us then. And we're looking forward to the game tonight, rocking into football season.
Go Skins.
I'm looking forward to the Patriots-Jaguars game also tonight. Gotta have to find that somewhere, but there's definitely a couple Patriots bars around, so I'll be able to find it. Or whatever. All right, guys, with that, we're going to take it away back to our picture of the live shot in D.C. at the White House. So take care, guys. Have a great one, and we'll see you tomorrow on the stream. Join us for Fox 5 Live every weekday. See you then.